Testing test. Welcome to this week's episode of Ask WWN. This is episode number 10 in our series, and this is also a special edition. This edition, since it is our 10th episode, it will be a special 10-minute broadcast. To begin, we obviously want to remind everybody that you can tweet us your questions at WWrestlingNews and using our official hashtag AskWWN. Also, you can throw us an email, askwwn at worldwrestlingnews.com. And to begin, our first question is, when is Dixie Carter going to realize that TNA wrestling will never be as big as WWE? Why doesn't she just sell it? Well, Dixie Carter knows that TNA wrestling isn't on the same level as WWE. There are thousands of independent pro wrestling promotions that run shows all the time, none of which can come even close to the giant that WWE is. What gets lost in all the TNA opposition is the fact that they are still the number 2 promotion in the world. Perhaps it has to do with the frustration in that TNA has a national television deal, a loaded talent roster, and a multi-million-dollar financial backer, but TNA makes every promotion, other than WWE, small potatoes. As for selling TNA, that would be up to Dixie's parents, Bob and Janice Carter. They are the top of TNA's financial funnel and are the ones that have been pushing for costs to be cut across the board. Our second question is, with Scott Armstrong being fired on Monday, do you see the Road Dogg returning to the screen as part of the storyline? Well, the Triple H/McMahon family angle currently involves the Rhodes family as opposition, so I could make a logical argument for it to also include the Armstrong family. I haven't heard about Road Dogg getting involved, but that's a reasonable assumption to make given he works as a producer backstage. Our third question is there any interest in WWE in Cody Hall? Well, as far as I know, WWE isn't interested in Cody Hall yet, but have to remember, he's still very green. He is big and athletic and has a tremendous advantage over normal kids his age trying to break in. Scott Hall has had his problems, but no one has ever doubted his ability and impacted to the wrestling business. Cody has access to all of Scott's resources, and as long as he sticks to it, he has a very high ceiling. Our next question is, why is Stephanie McMahon unloading so much of his stock? Well, I had a slight meltdown recently when I voiced some of my opinions and stuff. One of those had to do with the stock trades making news headlines. You know, WWE is a publicly traded company, and shares of the company are bought and sold every day. The stock pays a dividend, meaning if someone owns it, they are paid an amount from every share they own each quarter. The difference between me or you and Stephanie McMahon is that Stephanie is a WWE executive. Because of her status, she is required by the SEC to report all of her stock transactions to avoid an insider advantage. Without making it look complicated, stocks are bought when the price dips and are sold when the price rises, thus making a profit on the difference. Stephanie is selling stock and making a profit. This isn't news. It doesn't matter if she completely liquidates every share of her WWE stock. It is a publicly traded company, and she, along with anyone else, is free to buy and sell as she chooses. This is also why WWE is required to report all of their financial information and keep the public informed with what is going on with the company. Well, our next question is, what are the future booking plans for the Shield? It seems like they are all strapped, then put into the background. Well, booking backwards creates interesting situation, as one could argue the Shield took a step back after winning the WWE United States and WWE Tag Team Championship respectively. The group was booked with confidence early on, going over main event talent on pay-per-view, and when booked like that, there's only one way to go. After taking a background role, the group has been functioning as the enforcers of Triple H in the main storyline this fall. They've weathered some backstage politics and are still doing well. I do think it's time to break them up just yet. It's not time to break them up just yet, but still believe there is a lot of potential in the faction. Our next question, do you think we really needed Triple H back on WWE television? Well, simply answer yes, I do. Well, without John Cena, WWE really needed more star power, and the Triple H and McMahon versus Daniel Bryan angle fulfills that purpose. And Vince McMahon has a reputation for oversaturating programming with his own character, but I'm not yet burnt out on it quite yet. I actually think I'm in the minority, as I'm actually enjoying Daniel Bryan's chase so far. Our next question is, I remember a report posted on WorldWrestlingNews.com that Christian was in line for a decent babyface push. Is that still the case, or has WWE pulled back on that? Well, it was pretty clear that Christian was on the midst of a push, and we reported on as he went on to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. However, things have been halted after he suffered a concussion while working against Randy Orton on the August 26th episode of Monday Night Raw. He is a reliable veteran that WWE has the ability to push at any time. Our last question, why did Devon leave TNA Wrestling? Well, to answer this question, at this point, I am under the impression that Devon's TNA departure was for storyline purposes only, but he does have a contract through October, and he's taking indie dates as a TNA talent, but we'll see if anything changes. And of course, you can check updates on that at WorldWrestlingNews.com. But for now, what do you think? Did you enjoy tonight's episode of Ask WWN? Well, you can catch this podcast every week. Sometimes we do a live show here and there. Sometimes we just record it. But remember, you can always catch Ask WWN at worldwrestlingnews.com/podcast. Also, check out our other podcasts. We have the Ringside Podcast, very good. That gives you an in-depth analysis of Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, pay-per-views. Also, it supplies everyone with a career retrospective of a WWE superstar, and it's very interesting. Also, check out our official statements for any important news, updates, or previews that we will be sharing. Also, remember to check out our new podcast, Pipe Bomb. That new podcast is going to be great. We just did our debut episode. It was just an episode to get everybody introduced to what it will bring. But it is going to be a podcast where we have full-length interviews, a great in-depth news and everything else. Very great and very exciting. We're excited to have it. We're excited that we have so many listeners able to listen to that live every time. Well, thank you for tuning in to this Ask WWN episode. Remember, if you have any questions, throw us an email at askwwn@worldwrestlingnews.com. Also, tweet us a question at WWrestlingNews. Remember to use our official hashtag AskWWN. But for now, this is Michael Burgess signing off, and good night, everybody.